We're changing gears now to another matter. We're talking about auditing. Only recently, the president visited, or he was a guest at the annual conference of auditors in Nigeria, and he was saying that if people have nothing to, if they're transparent in their dealings and they have nothing to hide, then there was no need to be afraid of auditors. And it would seem that in recent times, there has been a lot more attention on the Office of the Auditor General of Nigeria, because they believe, or there is a general belief, that if the job of the Auditor General is done properly, then we could have a very strong tool to fight corruption in our hands. Well, I'm going to be speaking this morning with the senator who oversees a particular office. He is Senator Matthew Urohide, who is the chairman Senate Committee on Public Accounts. He was also the chairman Senate Committee on Public Accounts for a little part in the 8th Assembly, but currently chairs it in the 9th Assembly. Senator, you're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, right now, there seems to be a lot of focus, and it would seem that since you took over as chairman from the 8th Assembly, there's been some controversy. You've had some back and forth with the Office of the Auditor General. I know sometime in 2018, there was a complaint that, the Office of the Senate Committee on Public Accounts had not looked at previous reports submitted, and that was the reason they had not submitted new reports, which you countered. Would you say that the Senate Committee on Public Accounts has been up and doing in its responsibility of overlooking that particular parastatal?
Yes. I would say yes, because first and foremost, it is true that the Auditor General's office, like the Auditor General for the Federation, his office is the only office that the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate oversights, and in fact, even the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives. Statutorily, and if you look at the relevant section of the Constitution, that's Section 85, to 86, that has to do with his appointment. And then, of course, his function in 85, vis-a-vis the National Assembly and the Public Accounts Committee. You can see the relationship. The General submits the audited accounts, after receiving the financial statement from the Accountant General of the Federation, submits it to the National Assembly. That is a constitutional matter. And then the National Assembly refers it to the Public Accounts Committee. That is to look at the report as it is presented, and then, of course, submit back to Senate at plenary or to the House of Representatives at plenary. That report is now sent to the executive, for implementation. It is true that over the years, we have not received reports from the Auditor General's office. That is what has to do with all the financial transactions. We are talking of financial audits now. We have not received because the office too has not been able to meet up with the challenges within the context of what is available to it in terms of manpower, capacity building, and then, of course...
Indeed, you raised that. You said that a number of the people who worked in the Auditor General's office were not auditors.
Yes.
That they were people from other professions.
Yes, so the man is saddled or is belabeled with very large volume, of responsibility, particularly paperwork that he has to do. The office is not computerized. So you have large volumes of paper documents he has to contend with. The manpower, in terms of number, is not there for him. We are not part of the civil service, all right? And what we have to say frankly, because we need our systems to work, particularly that aspect that has to do with financial transactions.
But the National Assembly has always had this Office on Public Accounts.
You see, yes.
Which has been statutorily in the hands of the opposition.
You see, to a very large extent, the National Assembly too has been doing what it has to do. Get to know something. Anything that is taken as a decision in the National Assembly, if it's a resolution, and is passed to the executive for implementation, there's no element of compulsion on the part of the National to say it is compulsory for the executive to carry it out. For instance, we have been saying that the Auditor General's office, it doesn't have manpower. It doesn't even have the budget. Because it is through financial consulting. The Auditor General does not audit the account directly. The law, the Constitution does not say Section 85(3)(b) forbids him from going to audit the accounts of these agencies of government. Rather, the external auditors are appointed by these agencies to audit their own accounts. And they submit the report to him. And then he comments on the report. Where there are queries, he raises queries. And that's what he sends to us. So neither do we go to the agency to audit them. That's what the law says. Then for the man to do that, for him to look at those reports, he needs the manpower. He needs the workforce. He needs the expertise to do that. For him to do that, for external auditors people to come and vet those reports, the 10 reports submitted to him, he needs to pay for them through financial consulting. Go and check this year's budget.
Do you think that there has been a deliberate attempt to
I believe so.
weaken the office of the Auditor
I've said
General?
it, not my name whose source is God, that the office is designed to fail. It's supposed to be the first line of checking corruption. In other crimes, I've said it before, unless the system, is chaotic or there is inept, irresponsibility in terms of leadership on the part of management, of agencies and parasites of government, in fact, from MDAs, unless they have become moribund, there's no reason why they audited account. You gave money to them the preceding year, and you are going to make budget or appropriation to them the succeeding year. They have not accounted for the first one they collected. There are agencies that have not audited their accounts since inception. The general cannot go to those agencies to flog them because it doesn't have the law backing him to do that. That's why we're talking about the federal audit bill that will strengthen his office, that will, of course, mete serious reprisals on those that renege on this or those that have become, errant on it. So there's nothing, nobody can sentence anybody to imprisonment. No, there are no serious consequences for ineptitude. So what we are saying, if the president, can consider the federal audit bill, it's going to come back again because it was passed by the 8th Assembly, passed to Mr. President, maybe one or two exceptions, to some of the clauses that they are yet to bring and, of course, to point out our attention. I've been told, and I'm anxiously waiting for the bill, to be sent back so that we look at those gray areas. The areas, of course, that we believe, that I believe, are the ones that are causing some dissent. Number one, the autonomy that was given to the office. If you are still subordinating the Auditor General's office to the whims and caprices of civil service, the bureaucracy, then the man cannot work. Because constitutionally, the man does not work with the executive, he works with us. He doesn't have any role. His appointment is at the instance of recommendation by the Federal Civil Service Commission to the President and confirmed by the Senate. His removal has to be by our resolution, supported by 2/3, for the President to remove him. He does not submit his audited report to the President. He submits to the National Assembly. So he works with us. He's our technical partner. His office is the supreme audit institution in this country. But the man is so invisible. A man that audits a budget of over 10 trillion, you can see that he doesn't have anything at his disposal. He doesn't have the budget. He doesn't have the money to train manpower. Even our own collaboration with his office.
Well, it is instructive to note that a lot of this has not been raised up until now, up until very recently. And that also goes to say a lot about what could have been happening with the Senate Committee or even the General National Assembly Committees on Public Accounts. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, let me say this. I chair Public Accounts Committee. Maybe because of, on individual basis, you are beginning to hear it. It has always been there. The member of opposition party has to chair the committee. And, of course, I've been talking about it as a patriot, not as opposition leader. Because this is the way this system must work. You don't allow people to commit crime of corruption or misappropriation of public funds before you start inviting the FCC and the police and ICPC. Look, when you give out a project and you are going to look and take milestones in determining what you have to pay at interval for that project, must you wait for that project to be completed before you conduct performance audit, before you add the Auditor General to go and see every milestone after foundation? This is what it is. Let him audit it before we say go to the next stage. But you see, nobody, for him to do that performance audit, that the value for money audit, the man needs money. In this year's budget, it was 0. even when our committee recommended that the money should be given. Concessioning of ports, has he audited that process? Even this, what do you call it, gas flaring by liquefied natural gas, well, the company. Don't you know the economic implications? Have you empowered the man to go and do it? Even the homegrown thing that you are doing to say, you are giving food to children in schools because you want enlistment in primary and secondary education. Don't you know the Auditor General has something to do there to audit the process and see if there are leakages? Well, even the SDG, to say, yes, this is what we want to do, we are spending money, the Auditor General. So all these are forms of performance audit. These are areas. But in this year's budget, it is zero. Even when we recommended that you should be given money to do that. Financial audit is not the only responsibility. Performance audit is there, environmental audit is there. All those areas are just silent. We are now beginning to bring them to the fore.
Well, one of them that you finally brought to the fore, we understand that you're going to be submitting that particular report to the House very soon. Is that correct?
Yes, that is the
2015 report.
2015 report. Yes.
So, we're in 2020. We're just getting the 2015 report.
Let me tell you more clear. Listen, you see, I'm not here to come and castigate anybody.
Indeed.
I'm here to tell you the reality.
I mean, Nigerians who are concerned will certainly be raising
you see, it's very ugly.
Yes.
It's ugly. It's a very ugly narrative to say that the first step in checking financial corruption, we overlook it. All right? We asked the Auditor General, give me the status of agencies and participants of government who have submitted their audited reports up to 2017. In fact, I said up to 2019. The best, he gave me 468 participant agencies of government. 269 of them have not submitted reports since 2017. There are some of them since inception that have not audited their accounts. I'm not here to mention names. Even the big blue chip companies in this country.
Yeah, we know
from
that.
From 2016. So if these big spenders or revenue earners not audited their accounts,
we know that.
Then you know that the whole place is in disarray.
For one,
so the one we are considering,
yes,
is the 2015.
Yes.
Then the 2016, 2017. Those reports have been sent to us. But mind you, auditor's report is not the only tool we work with in public accounts. There are referrals from the floor of the Senate. We go and investigate matters and report back. All right? So there are so many other things that we do in Public Accounts Committee. So, but consider 1 year's report. If you come, now we are doing public hearing on it. We are starting with the financial statement given by the Accountant General of the Federation for that year. And the large volume, because it has come in volumes 1 and 2, we now have to call the agency. This is what the Accountant General has said. Because it is broad spectrum now, we are looking at the account of the Federation. This ought to have come as signature bonus by DPRO. This ought to have come from NNPC. This ought to have come. All agencies of government, or this amount of money we were expecting, this is what came in. There's difference than what we are doing now because they're about our financial statement. Then the part 1 of it, all the agencies that are errant, we're going to call them, these are leakages, these are infractions that we have discovered based on Auditor General. So Auditor General, sit down, the errant agency, sit down. This is the query against your agency in 2015. It's going to take us a while.
How long is it going to take? How long do you
For 2015, probably will take us about a month or 2. Because if we have to consider it, we don't even need to go to plenary at all. You start it in the morning, close at 6, come back the following day. Because there are issues, there are many issues. And they are presented in parts.
What do you think is going to come out of it?
We are going to we'll get it to the Senate. This is really why I cannot talk about our findings here, because the Senate sent us, on this duty. By the time we finish, we report back, present the report to the Senate. And the law says that the Senate now sends it to the executive. Mr. President will say it. This is the report. The House of Course has done 2014, or they are doing 2014, 2015. We'll complain, move to 2016. But I can assure that for the end of the year, we clear all the backlog of all financial auditors' reports up to 2017, then the 2018. Now, why I'm doing this is that The Establishment Act of all agencies of government says that they should submit their audited accounts 6 months to the financial year. So we're already in deficit. 2018 has not come. 2019, end of May, they should send in their 2019 reports. So we quickly have to clear this so that we'll be in tune, with, the timelines.
Okay. Let's quickly take questions from my colleagues in Lagos. Gentlemen.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mark. Well, Senator, it's very shocking to a lot of people, especially when you say, look, the first steps to fighting corruption in this country is being ignored. Now, when you say about 468 agencies, over 200 have not submitted their audit reports for a while, what is being done about those 200 at the moment?
Now, let me say that this was really not the first time. The report that came, the one I just mentioned, came about a week ago, to my office from the Auditor General's office. In the 8th Senate, the same exercise was carried out by the same Auditor General. And then, of course, that report was presented, to the Senate, and the Senate considered the report from my committee. And what we could say was to urge all those erring agencies to submit their audited accounts. And specifically, the Auditor General was asked to go and audit the account of NNPC, maybe for certain reasons. I want to say, we cannot go and flog these agencies. We can only put the facts before the executive. And that report must have left the Senate to the executive, since maybe 2017, 2018. The one we have observed now, this report I'm still going to present, to the Senate. And until the Senate takes, considers it, the Senate will take its decision. All right? But the consequences that we are trying to advocate in the new bill, is that the executive, the chief executive of that agency must be punished for it. Not only that, that agency, if it gets to the extent of not even allocating budget to them in the succeeding years, then I think that decision has to be taken. But it is not the Public Accounts Committee that can take that decision. And I even believe it's not only the Senate that can take that decision. If you hear tomorrow that, for instance, NTA, all right, or any other agency or government, because they have not submitted their accounts in the last, their account in the last 2 or 3 years, and they're not going to have budget, they will not have appropriation. There will be hues and cries. Oh, how do you contend with the personnel costs? All right, the staffers will not get, because of one person or the head who has not been able to, submit the audited account. Or that the management, because the board has something to do with the audited account. The chairman of the board must sign the audited account before it is sent to the National Assembly. If you submit audited account and there's no management letter accompanying it, it's an incomplete submission. So all these things, the House of Legislature too, to some extent, we are tied, unless there are strict laws, and which, of course, we are trying to advocate in the new bill.
Do you think that the generality of the floor will share the enthusiasm which the Public Accounts is seeking to, one, revive the Office of the Auditor General and strengthen it, and also bring parastatals that are found wanting to book?
Yes, the enthusiasm is there. But after all, we passed it, and we're unanimous. All right? So this is not a party issue. And then, of course, anybody really that understands the working certainly must be supportive of this. Why? Nobody, there's no Nigerian that come out in the open to say, I love corruption. Excuse me. And there's nobody really that is not concerned about certain things going on in this country. Public Accounts Committee is not only concerned about revenue. Because if we're really to tighten the noose around revenue collection and remittances to Federation account, we probably will have no business borrowing money. And then, of course, if the ones appropriated too, when it comes to expenditure side of the budget, and people spend this money, and the general sees that there's value for money, there's transparency, there's accountability, there's economy in spending, you will find out that really we have value for money, public money that is spent.
It's a fine place to leave it, Senator. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Senator Matthew Urohide is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Public Accounts. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Well, that's the program this morning. Well, no, not before we take your comments. We have to take your comments after this break. Please stay with us.